What's good, YouTube? With UFC 257 in the books, I want to talk about the state of the lightweight division. But before I do this, I want to quickly talk about a few things on the pay-per-view. So first off, we're gonna go to the early prelims. Movsar Evloev defeated Nick Lentz it was a pretty decent fight. It was pretty competitive throughout. Evloev clearly was the better fighter, defended multiple guillotine attempts, was the better striker, and all around, it just seemed like he deserved the nod. And on one judge's scorecard, I'm not 100% sure who the judge was or what they were watching, but they scored it 29-28 for Nick Lentz, which I found absolutely ridiculous. The fact that this fight was a split decision is absurd. I believe I scored the fight 29-28 for Evloev. I think I gave the first round to Nick Lentz, and then I gave the last two to Evloev. But the last two rounds were clearly Evloev's rounds. And the first round could be debatable whether you favor submissions and activity or do you favor just top control. That is where the balance comes in the first round. And I personally favor activity and submissions, which is why I gave Nick Lentz the first round. But the fact that this one judge saw a second round for Nick Lentz is absolutely absurd. I don't know if this judge was on some type of drugs or what, but it's ridiculous and it's inexcusable. And these judges need to get fined. They need to be questioned and they need to explain what they've seen, what they saw, to put out absurd scorecards like this. Same with the Paul Felder fight. The fact that a judge saw it 48-47 for Paul Felder, giving Felder 3 rounds, is just absolutely ludicrous. And same with this matchup. So another gripe I want to quickly talk about is the Marcin Proknio versus Khalid Roundtree fight right here. This was a pretty entertaining fight, fun fight in the light heavyweight division. Both these men had power. They were throwing leather like crazy. It was a pretty entertaining fight. Marcin Proknio got I forgot if it was a split decision or a unanimous decision, 29-28. But I heard the fans booing after the judges called out that decision. And I don't understand why. Mixed martial arts, the UFC, they use the 10-9 must system adopted from boxing. And with the 10-9 must system, Proknio won the fight. The first round was close. Proknio was more active. He landed more shots. Roundtree landed fewer shots, but they probably had a little more sting to them. But I personally gave Proknio that first round because I think the activity and the more volume was more significant than the slightly more pop that Roundtree's strikes had. And in the third round, it was clearly Proknio. Proknio was putting on a pace when it looked like Roundtree was starting to gas out. And the second round, that was the most decisive round with Khalid Roundtree almost getting a knockout, almost getting a knockdown, a knockout, whatever you want to say, because he had Proknio hurt bad multiple times in the final minute of that round. If this was Pride Rules, 100% Khalid Roundtree deserved to win that fight. If it was Pride Rules, because he landed the most significant strikes and he caused the most damage. And yeah, I mean, in Pride Rules, he definitely would have won the fight. But in the 10-9 must system, in my opinion, I thought Proknio got the decision. So the fact that the fans were booing was a little shocking, especially with the Abu Dhabi fans, because usually, you have some fans in America, that are ignorant as fuck, but usually, those fans over there in Abu Dhabi, they're usually pretty knowledgeable and know their MMA. So it was kind of surprising to hear that. Yeah, Michael Chandler had a very impressive. Oh, actually, before we talk about Michael Chandler, quickly, Mahina Rodriguez, that stoppage was really weird. Herb Dean kind of messed up a little bit, which is okay. I mean, Mahina Rodriguez getting the upset over Hibas is pretty impressive. Hibas, she stood on the feet too long. She needed to shoot or something. She needed to get in close. Staying at that range for that amount of time left her susceptible to Rodriguez's stand up. And yeah, but yeah, Herb Dean had a little bit of a shocker, but it happens. Reffing it's very difficult to ref. But shouts out Mahmoud Muradov. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these people's names. I really do apologize. But Mahmoud Muradov put Andrew Sanchez on chicken legs. You know what I'm saying? Did the chicken dance real quick. Honestly, I was cracking up when I saw it. That was one of the funniest chicken dances I've ever seen. That one, the Kevin Lee one, those are like up there in terms of top chicken dances in the history of the UFC. But yeah, um, the Jojo Calderwood versus Jessica Eye fight. I mean, what do I have to say? Jojo Calderwood is a better fighter all around. I mean, basically the fight played out exactly the way I expected. Michael Chandler in his debut, I doubted him. I'm sure a lot of people doubted him. He came out and he slept Dan Hooker. A nice 2 to the body, 3 over the top, clipped him right on the chin. And the rest was history. I mean, Hooker was done. Shows how powerful this man is. And listen, Chandler, you know, people may not like to hear what I'm about to say, but Chandler stylistically could give Khabib some fits. I have not seen much of Michael Chandler's defensive wrestling, but I know this dude was an All-American in college, and he went to college. He went to the same college as Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren. So this dude is a pretty freaking good wrestler. I think he'd give Khabib fits. Do I think he would ultimately win? Probably. It's hard to see anybody beat Khabib, but Chandler could give Khabib real fits. Obviously, I don't think he's there yet. I think he needs at least one more, possibly 2 more before he gets a title shot. But stylistically on paper, it just seems like a troubling matchup for Khabib. But yeah, let's go on to the fight that's the talk of the land. Dustin Poirier knocked out Conor McGregor in the second round. I didn't see this coming. If there was going to be a knockout by Poirier, I expected it to be later, much later when Conor was gassed, like 4th, 5th round. But I didn't really see Poirier knocking out McGregor. First of all, I just want to say this real quick. I've seen a lot of people make excuses for McGregor. Oh, he looked slow. He didn't look the same. It was the layoff. It was this. It was that. No, it wasn't. Conor looked extremely sharp mentally and physically. He looked really, really sharp mentally. If you look at him in press conference, you look at him, just in interviews and stuff like that. He looked like he was in the best state mentally of his career. This is even in the post fight, like even in the post fight interview after he lost, like Conor, like he just seemed mentally there. It wasn't like the Khabib fight. Like Khabib put him in a different mental state, and you could tell even when people bring up Khabib with him, he changes. His energy changes. But his energy is different with Khabib and everyone else, and I don't know why. It just does. Khabib invokes something out of Conor that no one else can. It truly changes him. But yeah, Conor, he mentally, like I said, he looked in a great state. Physically, he looked great. He won the first round, clearly. He got taken down. He got up immediately. He looked really strong in the clinch. His strikes looked sharp. They looked clean. I talked specifically in the first round because the second round, the leg kicks really started to take a toll on him. And obviously that's going to hinder his performance. But in that first round, man, Conor was looking sharp. That left hand landed a few times. He got counted a few times, but it landed a few times, and you can tell he was clearly the more powerful man than Poirier. But those leg kicks, man, those calf kicks, they're brutal. You have to check them. There's no other way around, especially in such a long stance like that Conor stands in. You have to check them. Conor said in the post-fight interview that he thought he was checking him, but he needed to do a better job because like in standing in such a long stance, even if you feel like you checked them, man, like they could still land, man. Like look at someone like Cheeto Vera, man, against Sean O'Malley. One of those things, and O'Malley was done. These calf kicks are not a joke. You have to check them, or you have to change your stance or something. Yeah, the only thing that I'd say Conor looked a little like Conor, honestly, he's been fighting like this since he moved up to 55. So the only gripe I'd have is, oh, Conor could have thrown more kicks and stuff like that. But Conor's been taking a primarily boxing approach since he moved up to 55 and fought Alvarez. Even when he fought Diaz, he took a strictly boxing approach, except for the leg kicks. So I mean, this is Conor. I mean, this is the way he's been fighting for years now. He looked to me, he looked on the ball. He stunned Poirier a few times. Poirier even said himself that he got stunned a few times. But Poirier, his chin at 55, man, his chin at 55 is no joke. He took shots, big shots from Dan Hooker, Max Holloway, now Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje, and Eddie Alvarez, and none of them were able to drop him. The dude, he's a stud at 55. And this weight cut for Poirier looked really bad. Like, he looked like he was really drawn out for this weight cut. Like, it's hard to imagine him at 45. He's a big boy. But yeah, I mean, all credit to Poirier. He had a great game plan, and he got Conor out of there, man. I mean, I think people like, taking away credit from Poirier is just absolutely disrespectful to this man. And it's diminishing his performance because that that performance, I'd say, is almost as impressive as the Max Holloway performance, because he had so many doubters. Most people thought he was going to lose. Most people. There are very few people thinking Poirier was going to win this fight. And then to get Conor out of there the way he did, nobody knocks out Conor McGregor. Poirier did it, man. Poirier has hands, dude. You can't sleep on this guy. And this reinstates the idea that I've had for a long time, which is Poirier is the best 155er who's not Khabib. I think Poirier is the best 155er who's not Khabib. I think he beats everyone. I think he beats Tony. I think he beats Oliveira. I think he beats Chandler, even though that's a fun fight. I mean, he beat Hooker. He beat Gaethje. I think he'd beat Gaethje again if they rematch. I think he's the best 55er. He's really, really good. But yeah, all this analysis stuff, hey, it's kind of boring. But let's get into the fun stuff. Talking about matches I would book for the 55-pound division. So yeah, I'm over here at the UFC website at the rankings. Ignore these three right here. Light heavyweight, middleweight, and welterweight. We don't care about those. We're only worried about this division right here. This division right here. The main man, of course, Khabib. The lightweight, it's a lot of people thought, this pay-per-view would answer a lot of questions in the lightweight division, but in my opinion, it just created just a bigger logjam than it already was. I don't think this pay-per-view did anything. But for this, when I talk about the lightweight division and matches I would make, I'm going to assume Khabib is retired because I think Dana's gaslighting the fans. He's keeping an avenue open just in case, just with the prayer and just the slimmest of chance he comes back. I won't do that. I'm not Dana White. I'm not money hungry. I'm not none of that stuff. Khabib said he's retired. He said he wants to honor his mom's wishes, and I absolutely believe him. And I think he's done. So listen, Khabib is probably he's I don't know if he's my favorite fighter of all time. Like he's definitely like he might be. I don't know. I love Khabib. Like he's awesome, but he said he's done, and I have no, and I believe him. So for this sake, we will assume Khabib is retired. So after this fight, I believe Dustin Poirier deserves to be the number one ranked above Gaethje. Oliveira probably deserves to be 2. Gaethje should probably drop to 3. Tony should probably be 4. No. Actually, Chandler should be 4. Tony should be 5. McGregor should be 6. Hooker should be 7. And basically after Hooker and down, yeah, Hooker and down should be one rank below. So everyone, Dan Hooker and below should be one rank. So Hooker 7, RDA's 8, Felder 9, and so on and so forth. Like I said, it should be Poirier 1, Oliveira 2, Gaethje 3, Chandler 4, Tony 5, McGregor 6. So honestly, I think it has to be Poirier and Oliveira for the championship. It just has to be. You can't snub Oliveira. He's on an 8-fight win streak. You can't. Dana White needs to really learn his lesson with these freaking win streaks, man. Leon Edwards is on an 8-fight win streak, hasn't gotten a title shot yet. Tony Ferguson was on a 12-fight winning streak or 11-fight winning streak. Never got a shot at the undisputed belt. Still to this day has never gotten a shot at the undisputed belt. It's absolutely absurd. Now Charles Oliveira, 8-fight win streak. This man deserves a title shot. Get this man a title shot. It's simple. It's really not that difficult. It should be Poirier and Oliveira for the championship. Undisputed championship. Simple. I think we do Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. I think that's just a war. There's going to be wrestling scrams. Let me give predictions real quick. Oliveira versus Poirier, like I said, I mentioned before, I don't think anyone can beat Poirier in this division. I think Poirier stuffs Oliveira's takedowns and beats him up on the feet and gets a finish. Gaethje versus Chandler, that's a fun fight. Both men have extreme power in their hands. I think Chandler may be a little more privy to wrestle, and but I think Gaethje is gonna stuff those. I think the only man who could take down Gaethje and hold him down is Khabib, because Khabib is just a different animal. But yeah, I see, especially a patient Gaethje gives Chandler big problems, counters him, keeps him at distance. Since he's going to be bigger than Chandler. Chandler's only 5'7", kind of small for the division nowadays, where the guys are like 5'9", 5'10", 5'11". So, but yeah, I could definitely see, if Chandler lands a couple big shots, maybe Gaethje goes into that war mode and maybe he gets Gaethje out there. I think it's a fun fight, competitive fight, but I do see Gaethje coming out on top. And then I think Dan Hooker versus RDA is actually a really fun matchup, good matchup. RDA is going to threaten Dan Hooker with takedowns, and he's gonna be mixing up takedowns with the striking, give Dan a lot to think about, and Dan with the feints and high level striking is gonna give RDA some problems. But RDA seems to do well against strikers. RDA, his problem seems to be against wrestlers. That's where his problem really seems to be. Unless you're like Leon Edwards and have extremely high fight IQ. take him down in that first round, and then just pressure him with the striking with the rest of the rest of the fight. Unless you're like that, like it's very hard to see. Like Poirier does really well against strikers, so I think that'll be a fun fight. It'll be an interesting fight. I think I probably say Hooker probably wins the fight. I think it's close, really close. Artie might win, man. That's like a 50-50 fight. That's like a 50-50 fight. Um McGregor, I honestly, personally, for me, just because I think it's just such a fun fight, I'd love to see McGregor versus Tony. I think the shit talking would be fun. I think the build up would be fun, and these are probably like the two most popular people in the division who aren't champion. So, like these are probably like no, actually they're probably just the two most popular people in the division. Period. Maybe now since Poirier just knocked out McGregor, maybe he'll get a little more people on his bandwagon. But yeah, I think Tony and McGregor are probably the two most popular. And man, I think it's a fun fight. I think Tony probably loses. I mean, especially the McGregor who just fought. Poirier, Tony takes a beating from that guy, man. And if Tony spams leg kicks, maybe shoots, takedowns, he give Conor some problems. I just want to see that fight for the build up, honestly. And Tony deserves something, man. Tony is an absolute legend, man. He deserves something. He deserves a big payday with the way the UFC just shafted him, man. He deserves a big payday. So I'd like to see Tony versus Ferguson, and I do. I mean, Tony versus McGregor. I said Tony versus Ferguson. What? Tony versus McGregor. And I do like Conor to win, but throw Tony a bone, please, UFC. And yeah, and then after that, I think you do the winner of Chandler versus Gaethje fights the winner of Poirier versus Oliveira, and I think that'll be Gaethje versus Poirier. And like I said, I think that fight stays the same. I think Poirier still just outstrikes Gaethje. Even a patient Gaethje, I just think it's a tough stylistic matchup against Poirier. But yeah, that's it. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope that was a pretty easy video to follow. Um, yeah, please, any feedback, any criticism, constructive criticism, anything like that, even hate comments, love comments, anything like that, please let me know. And like the video if you enjoyed, you comment, I'll 100% reply. And yeah, man, like, take care. I'm gone.